Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Anita from KetogenicWoman.com. This is my channel where I share how I've lost 145 pounds. And today I'm going to do I guess kind of a Tuesday talk. I haven't done one in forever. I'm going to try to bring them back in. Can't promise every Tuesday at this point. But today's talk, I'm going to answer the top 7 questions that I get about the l.Reuteri yogurt, fermented dairy that I make and that many of you also make or maybe are thinking about making. Now, the reason I want to do this is because I made 2 videos well over a year ago and then one video just a couple months ago regarding this fermented dairy. So in those videos, I said why I was doing it and what some of the benefits I was hoping to get. I'm a huge fan of this fermented dairy. But what I've noticed lately is there seems to be a surge in popularity. Those 3 videos are always in my top 10. And I get questions, same questions, repeat questions, every day, almost every day on videos that are over a year old. So I thought I needed to summarize this in a concise fashion. I'll try to be concise. I know that I can tend to ramble a bit. But I'm going to do my best to answer these 7 burning questions that people have when they watch those videos. Before I start on the questions, I'm just going to give a quick, very quick process of how we make the l.Reuteri fermented dairy. So what it is a type of microbe that is very beneficial to our systems. Dr. Davis of the Supergut book.
I should have had that book here.
Dr. Davis, who wrote this Supergut book, he has been on my channel and he answers all the questions in this book. But I still, even people who have the book do sometimes still have questions. There's a lot to digest in this book.
I made a pun.
Basically this is to fix digestive issues. I have a lifetime of digestive issues to fix. It's helped immensely. So that's why I decided to give this a try after trying many other things. So the simple process is using the l.Reuteri bacteria, the microbes, as a starter culture. I'll go over the various options because that's one of the questions. You use that plus a probiotic fiber plus some dairy or non-dairy. The non-dairy options are available, but some kind of, liquid. You ferment for 36 hours. We're going to go over, the hows of that. And you have this magical yogurt. It should taste delicious. So we're going to cover some of the pitfalls in these 7 questions. So the number 1 question that I get is, what are the steps to saving the yogurt to make more batches after you've made the first batch, and how do you make the new batch? Okay, so that's a very good question, and you don't use the new fresh capsules or tablets for every single batch. You make a batch, you save some of that batch. Here's how I save mine. I have this little mold. You could use an ice cube tray. What I like about this mold is that it holds exactly 2 tablespoons, and 2 tablespoons is what you need for your next batch. So you are making a batch of yogurt fresh from the capsules and the probiotic fiber and your dairy. And you're going to save, maybe save half of it. Some people save all of it for reasons I'm going to discuss very, very shortly. It can freeze. People are worried, well, if I freeze it, it's going to kill the microbes. No, they go dormant. You can refrigerate it. It'll last up to a month in the refrigerator, but it'll last much longer in this. So I typically will fill up this tray and then put the little pucks, once they're frozen, put the little pucks in another container so that I have this back, and just freeze them until I need them. So what goes in the second batch? In the second batch, you put 1 puck of yogurt, which is 2 tablespoons. You put in 1 to 2 tablespoons of inulin. Some people like 1 tablespoon, some people like 2 tablespoons. My inulin is made out of chicory root. There are various ones out there. Pick the one that you already have in your pantry if you have it, or just get whatever is out there that has no other ingredients. And 1 quart, or if you're Canadian, 1 liter of liquid. And that liquid can be cream or milk or non-dairy of some kind, which we'll talk about. So that is what goes in the second batch. It is identical to the first batch, except you do not use a fresh capsule or tablet or starter packet. You just use your previous yogurt. Here's the second most popular or most asked question. Why does my yogurt separate? There's a few things that can happen here. First of all, almost everybody, not quite, because it didn't happen to me, so I feel kind of lucky in that way. I've only had 1 little jar of yogurt separate, and the rest of the batch was fine. I don't know why, but I've never had a whole batch failure. However, almost everybody I know has, and so I have looked into it quite a bit. I've talked to Dr. Davis about it. He was on my channel. So I'll link that interview below, and it was live, so people from the audience asked him questions, so lots of good information there. The reasons that it separates, the very first, most common reason is the first batch effect. So when you make your very first batch, whether you use the capsules, the tablets, or a starter packet that you've purchased, the microbes are not quite up to par to making that first batch. And I read this off his website. It said, the bacteria are not as stable in the first batch, and your first batch can also smell cheesy. I feel like all my batches smell a little bit cheesy, so, they're all going to be maybe slightly different. But that first batch effect affects a lot of people. So the other reason that your batch could be separating is too much heat. L.Reuteri loves to have body temperature for fermentation. So try lowering it. I know that a lot of people go to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So body temperature is 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're setting your yogurt maker to 100, maybe set it to 96 or 97, like lower it a bit and see if that helps. One of the things that can happen, and we'll talk about this when we talk about which devices to use for your fermenting, is that the heat can be too high. It can go up to 110 technically, but any higher than that and you're going to start killing those microbes. So it's really important to keep it at 100 or less if possible. And then the other thing that can happen is that you might have something set to 100, but it's in fact higher. So you always have to test your devices with just a separate thermometer to see, well, what is the true temperature? So try lowering the temperature. Try decreasing the amount of inulin. I typically use 2 tablespoons. I have tried it with 1. I just like the security of using 2 tablespoons. It's worked for me all the time. I get the right consistency I want. However, some people have reported that lowering the amount of inulin or whatever probiotic fiber you're using to 1 tablespoon instead of 2 tablespoons has helped them, has helped their batches turn out better. the milk or the cream, it should be ultra pasteurized. Ultra pasteurized for best results, and then you don't have to heat it. Now, I'm in Canada. We can get ultra pasteurized milk here, but I like to use cream, and I've never seen ultra pasteurized cream. So what you can do is you can use your regular half and half cream here in Canada, or I like the 18%. You can heat it. Now I did ask so here's where a little bit of controversy came in when I've been making it on my past videos. People are telling me, stop heating your milk, you don't have to, and other people are saying you have to heat it. I did ask him. He said, if my cream is pasteurized, and it is pasteurized, you don't necessarily have to heat it. I don't know. I think I feel better heating it, but I'm just telling you what Dr. Davis said. However, if you are using an unpasteurized milk, if you're using raw milk or cream, if you're using anything that has not been pasteurized or ultra pasteurized, you must heat it. Heat it to between 180 and I think it was 195. With different websites post different temperatures. So up there, over 180. Keep it at that heat for 10 minutes. And then cool it down to below 100 before you start mixing up your mixture for the fermentation. The last thing I want to mention that might cause actually there's two more things that might cause your yogurt to curdle or separate. If you're using a cream or a milk that has other ingredients, it should just be milk. Just be cream, one ingredient, rather than say cream plus some thickeners. That can cause it to curdle. And finally, I just learned this one recently, the inulin can become contaminated. So now I bought this huge bag. Dr. Davis recommends buying your inulin in small amounts, like say a small canister or a small bag, because over time it can become, you're opening it, you're spooning stuff out. Over time it can become contaminated. Now I did decide I better seal it up in this big bag so that there's less chance of it becoming contaminated. But I am regretting buying this big giant bag. Now, so far so good. What some people do, and Dr. Davis says this won't kill all of the things that can cause separation, but it does kill some of them. When you heat up your milk and it's up, in the 180 to 190 degree temperature, you can add your inulin then and whisk it in then, so that will kill some of the items that are causing problems. Okay, so those are kind of the common reasons for separation. So that brings me to the next question. What milk or cream do I use, and do I have to heat it? I think I already covered the heating part. You can use regular homogenized milk or pasteurized milk. You can use half and half cream, you can use heavy cream, you can use 18% cream, that's my favorite. You can combine some of these things. You can mix in your, say your regular milk with your heavy cream to try to get to the 18% mark. Any combination of those things you can do. Some people have asked if they can use skim milk. Sure, but it's going to be super thin yogurt. It's going to be very runny. The more fat it has, the better result you get, which is why I like the 18%. Let's talk about non-dairy. So you can use, the coconut milks and all that. I don't have any videos that show that because I do not use plant-based milk at all. I just don't. I'm carnivore. But if you Google it or go on YouTube and search l.Reuteri coconut milk or whatever milk you're trying to do, You will find videos out there. There's lots of videos out there that show you how to do that. Goat's milk is another thing that people ask about. Yes, you can use goat's milk, but again, try to use the highest fat you can find of goat's milk. And even then, it will be thinner than using the cow's milk. I have not done it, but this is what people tell me. So there you go. And as far as the heating it, again, it has to be pasteurized. Raw milk, if you use that, you can use it, but you have to heat that up. The reason being is that there could be some microbes in the raw milk. There could even be listeria, which if you just drink the milk on its own, we, especially carnivores, we're able to tolerate a certain amount of that. We can drink that and it doesn't affect us. But you ferment that for 36 hours and you're going to build too much of a colony of it, any of the, so-called dangerous microbes, then you run the risk of having a bad result. So we don't want that. Please do heat your raw milk if you're going to ferment it for 36 hours. What can I use besides a yogurt maker? You can use sous vide. My very first batch I made in the sous vide, it did not separate. I do really like using the sous vide. It's my favorite method. However, I bought a yogurt maker because I didn't like being without my Instant Pot liner or my sous vide wand for that many hours. It was problematic. So sous vide does work. So does putting it in your dehydrator. If you've got one of those big dehydrators like I have, the Kasori, where you can open up the door, if all your racks are out, you can put your mason jars or whatever in there. You can use a yogurt maker. And, you just have to be able to maintain your desired temperature for 36 hours. Instant Pot, I get this question a lot. Some Instant Pots have a yogurt setting. Some Instant Pots don't. Even if you have a yogurt setting on your Instant Pot, that may not be enough. You have to be able to control the temperature. So if you have an Instant Pot with a yogurt setting, test it and test the temperature separately, because it may not be what you think it is. Don't use an Instant Pot and feel like, okay, I'm going to put it on low, because what Dr. Davis says is that the Instant Pot will cycle up and down. So even if you have a yogurt setting, even if you have a controlled setting, he doesn't like Instant Pots for that reason, because it doesn't stay steady for the 36 hours. It cycles, it heats up and then cools down, and then it heats up and then it cools down. And he feels that maybe it could get too hot doing that, and you could end up with less of the l.Reuteri microbes. So something to think about. So no matter what device you use, the two criteria, you have to be able to set it between 96 and 100, and you have to be able to set the 36 hours. And I will add to that, test it. Even so, my little probiotic yogurt maker, which I do love, if I set it to 98 and then I test it, even though the temperature gauge says 98, it's usually about 101, which is perfectly fine, but you need to know that. So do test it. Okay, this is a question that I do get quite often. Do I have to eat this yogurt forever, or do you get to a point where you eventually heal? Yeah, I also did ask Dr. Davis this question. So he feels that you probably will always need at least a maintenance dose. And so I've kind of discovered this is true for myself. When I first tried it, I had it every day for 3 months, and half a cup is the dose he recommends. I spread mine out over the day, usually when I have it. And in that half a cup, you're getting 300 billion, like billion with a B. You're getting 300 billion l.Reuteri microbes. So that is a good amount to populate. If you want to spread it out during the day like I do, I've heard a lot of people say it's best to do it 30 minutes before a meal so that it populates your insides there, and then you eat your meal, and that should help with your digestion. I was eating it after a meal, and I felt like it was good. So, but I just wanted to give you that information. So I ate it for 3 months, and then I had to go on a trip. And I was a little worried, what's going to happen? I'm going to be gone for a week. I can't take the yogurt with me. And I was fine. And so then I realized, okay, so something has happened. I had it for the 3 months, and now I'm not having the same digestive issues I had before. And so I just made it less frequently for a while. And then I stopped altogether for, the rest of the year. And then it came back. And it came back last December, January of 24, January 25. And I realized, oh my goodness, I need to make it again. So I made it again. And again, I was having it quite religiously. And now I'm in the taper off. It's April now. I'm in the taper off period. I don't know when I'll make it next. But I think what that tells me from my experience is that I'm probably going to make it off and on over the years. Dr. Davis says this is a microbe that we were all meant to have in our systems naturally, but for various reasons, and he describes them really well in the book, we lose that. It can be through a C-section. If you were born by C-section, you didn't have a chance to get that populated by going through the birth canal, apparently. If you were a child, and this also happened to me, that went through an awful lot of illnesses and taking antibiotics. I mean, I feel like I was on so many antibiotics for so many times, earaches, tonsils, the whole thing. So that is another factor. And I think there's quite a few. I checked off 9 out of, I think, 12 that I got from the book. There's a lot of reasons why you may not have this bacteria in you that you were meant to have. And so for someone like myself, I'm probably always going to need to fall back on it, make it once in a while, and then the rest of the year, fine. My friend Anna Maria from Italian Gone Carnivore, she says she has a season in the year, 3 months, she makes it, has it every day, and the rest of the year she doesn't have it. And then next year she'll, 3 months, make it every day, and so on. And I kind of like that. That could work for you. Or maybe making it once a month could work for you, that kind of thing. What are the choices for starter when you make your very first batch? Tablets, capsules, what size? Okay, so I'm going to pull out all of the ones that I have here. So I made my very first batch with this. This is BioGaia. Many of you who have watched other videos are familiar with it. You get little strips like this. You need to use 10 of these to make your first batch. Because each tablet contains 100 million, which sounds like a lot, but if you then go to Dr. Davis's capsules, he sells them in 2 sizes, 10 billion or 20 billion. So you want to use 10 capsules to get enough of a dose in your first starter to get up to the full complement of l.Reuteri. I've also made it with this. So this is also the BioGaia. It just comes in, instead of in those easy dissolve capsules, it comes in a chewable capsule. Again, you need 10. You need 10 of those. This is produced by Dr. Davis. I have the 20 billion capsule. He also sells a 10 billion capsule, which is less expensive. Now, the reason that he sells the 20 and the 10 is because some people just like to take these orally instead of making yogurt from them. I've made the yogurt with this. You can use either the 10. The 10 is enough. You can use the 10 if that's what you have, or you want to get the cheaper bottle, or you can use this. This can also be used, though, as a supplement. So if I was going to go on a trip, I might, take one or two of these with me and have them on, especially if you think you might be running into food that's not your norm. You might expect some digestive issues. This can be taken orally. These can also be taken orally. So these, because I have Dr. Davis's capsules now, I've stopped using these. And so I've been, every once in a while, I just chew on one of these, especially if it's been, a couple of weeks since I've had some yogurt. I'm just taking them orally to use them up so that they're not wasted, because they are going to expire sometime this year. So I do want to use those up. And this is also from Dr. Davis. This is called Gut to Glow. It contains other ingredients besides the l.Reuteri. This is meant to be a supplement for better skin and hair, and it contains the marine collagen. There was one other ingredient, l.R.DR strain super microbe for skin health. Does contain marine collagen. There it is, marine collagen, hyaluronic acid, l.Reuteri 40 billion in a serving, which is 4 capsules, but you only need 1 or 2 of these. I've made the batch with 1, and astaxanthin, I can't pronounce it. Astaxanthin. I don't know. It's another ingredient. I'll put it up on the screen. Okay, so the Gut to Glow, you can make it with 1 or 2 capsules, your choice. It depends on, so 1 capsule is going to be, it'll be 10 billion. It should be enough. And the only thing I want to say about this is, if you're worried about the other ingredients, you don't need to be. They're not a competing microbe. They will just be benign. And your yogurt will have a slight pinkish tinge, because the capsules contain a pink powder. However, when you then save some of that as starter, that pink tinge goes away. Now that's different from if you've ever made the yogurt and you've had pink on the top of your surface. I've heard people say that. That is a fungal thing. You can still use the yogurt, but you need to scrape that off first. So it's a little bit different. You can also get online starter packets from various companies. I don't have any experience with them, and I don't know if they use the same strain that Dr. Davis likes. So for me, I personally would only trust the BioGaia, because I know it works, and anything that Dr. Davis does, because I know that he's going to put that proper strain in there. And I will put those links below for both. And I know, Canadians, it's super expensive. I know that. I know. So I'm going to put the Canadian links for these in the video notes below. Last question. How do you calculate the macros? Okay, so here, where the confusion lies. Some people say it's too high in carbs. I don't want to make it. The inulin contains carbs and it contains fiber. So basically, the net carbs of this are 0. But also, when I asked Dr. Davis about this, he said during that fermentation period, the microbes are eating this as fertilizer, so they're not going to count anyways. So what you do then, and what I've been doing, and doesn't seem to be detrimental to me, is that I just count the carbs in whatever the liquid is. If I'm using 18% cream, those are the carbs I use. If I'm using half and half, those are the carbs and protein and whatever. So I've made my own little entry and chronometer. 18% l.Reuteri, 10%. That's half and half, l.Reuteri. And so depending on what I've made, I know that a half a cup contains, this many protein and carbs and fat. And that's what I use to calculate my macros. So I just ignore the inulin. Okay, so those are the most burning questions. Something I just thought about when I was thinking about wrapping this up is that when your tablets or starter or anything are shipped to you, if you live in a hot area, you might want to think about getting them shipped to you in the wintertime, or ask if they're doing some kind of insulation with the shipment, because they are prone to heat. Nothing will kill the l.Reuteri like too much heat, and that could mean sitting in a truck and in the sun or whatever. Keep all of these in the fridge afterwards to protect them. So that's a tip that I have. That's it. I covered my 7 top questions. If there's something I haven't covered, and you've already watched my other videos where I cover so much more, like all the, like how to make, how to make it is in those other videos, as well as in hundreds of other videos on YouTube. Ask me whatever questions that you want down below. I may either direct you to one of my videos if it's answered in there, or I'll answer it. So, please feel free to do that. Thank you for watching. Also, let me know if you would like to see a live stream on this topic, because I would be happy to do it. I go live every Sunday night for an hour, and people can come there and ask me questions live, and it's really fun. So we could do a live on this. Let me know down below if you'd like to see that, and we'll do that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and hoping I will see you again next Tuesday for another Tuesday talk, or maybe it'll be in a couple weeks. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.